You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 89. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Today's guest is the founder and owner of the Pastry Vault and Catering. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure we'll all be inspired by her story. Let's chop it up with Oriana Robinson. Oriana, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Glad to hear that. All is well on my end, too. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me a few minutes. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, we're here to talk about the Pastry Vault and catering and all the great things you got going on in business. But before we talk about business, let's get to know the woman behind the brand. What's your story?
Well, it's not, too much, but I've always, loved to bake. I started out going to Trenum for culinary arts, but before I started going to Trenum for culinary arts, I was doing like computer information systems, mainly because that what my parents wanted me to go to school for. But my love has always been in culinary arts. But I started baking, when I was like 6 or 7, helping my mom and everything. And it's always been something I've loved to do, baking and cooking. And, I've just been doing it for a while. And then it really started to really, be an impact when I started to have kids and they wanted me to bake all sort of things and all of that. And which really started to pop off when we were living in Hawaii. And that's when I really started to, bake for neighbors and churches, and they started telling me, how good my stuff was, and I was like, okay, maybe I could start selling my pastries and food and stuff like that. But yeah, and when we moved back here, I was working in restaurants, but something happened, got fired. And COVID hit as soon as I got fired. And so I was like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta do something. So that's when I was like, okay, let me start selling pastries or trying to do something to make money. But yeah, I've always been I guess had a vision or dreams, whatever you want to call it, that I would be doing exactly what I'm doing. I think I'm on my right. I believe I'm on my right path of what God wants me to do. I've always had visions of myself doing exactly what I'm doing now. So I believe I'm on the right path.
That's good stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. The fact that you feel like you're on the right path and you're right in your calling, you're working in your gift. So
Yeah.
Are you originally from Montgomery? If not, where are you from?
I'm originally from Montgomery.
Hometown hero. Respect.
I'm from the Gump.
Respect. Hometown hero. What high school?
Carver.
Okay. Hey.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm from Carver, Wolverine.
Okay, much respect. So, okay. so what was your upbringing like in Montgomery?
My upbringing?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I grew up on where it was called West Jeff Davis, but now it's called West Fred Gray. Mm-hmm. I grew up there. My parents was like really strict, not that strict, but they were strict. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, growing up, it was great. I can still say it was great, even though they were mainly, being a parent now, I could see they were just looking out for us, make sure that we were safe. But yeah, I honestly think I take from my grandma and my mom, since they love to cook and bake and everything. So I think I learned most of what I know from them, because I never really finished culinary school because I sort of stopped. And I started traveling with my husband since he was, in active duty in the military. So I sort of just put everything on hold and packed up all of my kids' stuff, my stuff, and started traveling along with him.
Hmm.
And yeah, and most of my life I've just been cooking, baking, mainly learning from my mom and my grandma.
Okay, sounds good. So mom and grandma had you in the kitchen learning at an early age. What would you say was the first dish you learned how to cook?
Ooh, Lord, don't get me on that one. Mac and cheese. I
Okay.
got a whole story. I got a whole story. No.
Hey, I want to hear the whole story. Go for it.
Well, black people. My mom was like, high cholesterol, don't put too much cheese, don't put too much butter. I'm like, wait a minute. And so whenever she would leave out the kitchen or something, I would sneak in a lot more cheese
Oh,
and a lot more butter and do it my way. But because she was so worried about cholesterol and all of that. But I was like, if you're gonna make mac and cheese, you gotta do it the right way. So you you can't have macaroni and
right.
cheese that ain't but I would always sneak and just try to make it the right way. She would always put a white amount of cheese and stuff, but I was like, it can't be like this. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right. And she would fuss and look, she would look at the bowl and she would start fussing a little bit, but I was like, I know it's gonna be good though.
Right. Right. I mean,
Yeah, but that
it's
was the first dish. That mac and cheese.
right. Hey, appreciate you sharing that story. And I think it's so funny, like just hearing you tell the story out. Okay, this dish already, like in my mind, I would be thinking like this dish isn't healthy as is, so we might as well do it right. So I kind of understand where you coming from. Like, why we doing the right amount of cheese? Let's make sure we make it cheesy. Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's amazing. So let's talk about your time in culinary art school at Trenum. What was that experience like?
It was great. It's been so long ago. Because I think I started because I was in community information system, but I stopped because I really wasn't happy with it. Because I would always take the city bus to school, and I would see all these students coming. I believe that was when culinary arts was in, I think, Montgomery Mall. And I would always see these students, with their chef jackets, getting on the bus and almost, sitting on the bus just looking, staring. And I was like, that's where I want to be at. But I was so busy listening to other people. But anyway, but my time, I think when I first switched my major to culinary arts was 2000, was it 2010? 11, one of those years before I moved. It was great. I mean, the teachers they were great. But that's when I moved away to Washington, started traveling a lot. But as soon as we moved back in 2000, when I moved to Washington, I started going to the Art Institute of Seattle, culinary arts. But that was like for a short period of time. But when we moved back here, that's when I started back going. I think that was in 17 or 18. And it was great, but at the same time, I got pregnant again and stuff. So I had this drive out and focus on, kids and household again. So I had just completely stopped, even though I do need to go back and finish my classes. But so far, I mean, Trenum, their program was great. It was good. The
Okay.
team.
So okay. Okay. So just in terms of the diversity of people, were most of the people from Montgomery, were people from other places in your class?
Um, the only difference is between the Art Institute was in Seattle. It was like a whole view of like the ocean, and it
Hmm.
was like top notch. It was like top notch. Like you paying for that. It
Hmm.
was like on the bay. But from the two, I prefer Trenum still. It was more. I can't really give a real review of it because it was a short time there too because I had got pregnant again.
So no, no doubt. So just in terms of like, no, so
But But looking back at it now, since when I moved back here and started back going, I'm glad, Trenum, they do their thing. I still prefer, I would say Trenum still. I would still say Trenum.
Okay. And were your classmates all from Montgomery, or were they from different cities around the world?
Um, Trenum,
Yes.
I yeah, I believe they were. Yeah. It's
Okay.
been so long ago, but yeah,
Okay.
I believe they were.
My bad. I'm taking you back to memory lane.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Okay. No doubt. That's great. So you had a chance to have good exposure at two different culinary art schools, and now you're back
Yeah.
in Montgomery, rocking and rolling. So the Pastry Vault, that's a very intriguing name. What inspired
Well, that's a story too.
it?
Basically, I was laying in bed actually, and with my children, and I was trying to figure out. I was looking at chef coats and how I was gonna plan out everything about the name, and I remember feeling like going for a business name with cinnamon roll in it, but I didn't want to be stuck in a box or feel like I was stuck in the box. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so I didn't really want anything with cinnamon roll because I felt like if you put a business name with cinnamon roll, that's what everyone would expect you to do, I guess, sort of. So I just went with, well, since I love to bake more than cinnamon rolls, let me just go with the pastry vault. Because when you think of the pastry and vault, vault, you think of, okay, numerous amount of different pastries. That's how I was thinking. So let's just go with the pastry vault. So I won't have to feel like I'm stuck in a box. It just have to be limited to cinnamon rolls.
That makes perfect sense, and that's a very
Yeah.
organic way of how you came up with the name. You didn't want to put yourself in the box. You wanted to just
Yeah.
create a name that was eye catching, which it is. Like the Pastry Vault, when you first hear, it, like, like I wonder what they got going on over there. So great
Yeah.
job, because it's definitely an attention grabber. So let's talk more about what products do you sell over at the Pastry Vault.
Honestly, I started legally in in 2020. And so my main pastry was cinnamon rolls. I was doing cookies, but the only cookies I was doing because I had a lot of people, thinking about their health, and they would always want sugar-free cookies, and they would talk about keto. Do you do keto cookies and all that? But my main pastry is gourmet cinnamon roll. But I do cheesecakes, cookies, cupcakes, special orders. If you're diabetic, if you ask for something sugar free, I can do that as well. But I do pies, biscuits. Like I bake some of everything that I didn't put out on the menu because I know I'm still trying to find that balance since I have children and everything. But I bake sort of everything if a customer asks me. I didn't put everything on that menu because I know if I did, I'd be running around here with like a chicken. Yeah.
Okay.
What I have coming up next though are churros. That's coming up probably next month. Doing different flavors of churros. That's what I'm trying to push out next month. Different flavors of churros. And that's only because my children been asking. So I was like, okay, let me order all the tools I need
Mhm.
and let me do churros. Like my kids, they give me a lot of ideas. But yeah, that's next on my menu. Different flavors of churros.
Okay, that's great. So you rocking and rolling over there. You baking some of everything, like you said, and
Some everything.
you have different options. You have keto options, diabetic options, and that's smart and that's very wise. And I commend you for being versatile like that, so you can service all types of customers. Because
Yeah, I
some
try
people,
to.
right? Now that's great. So just in terms of you being a business owner and owning a bakery shop, are you a harsh critic when you go out and order desserts? If you order desserts, so like, are you a harsh critic for just food in general? Are you a harsh critic when you go out to eat now?
I'm a very harsh critic. I'm gonna now I'm gonna
Mhm.
start talking crazy.
No, hey, listen,
I'm a
we ain't
very
saying
harsh.
Listen, we ain't saying no
Pretty.
names and no businesses, but you are harsh
No,
critic.
no, no, no. I'm not gonna. No, no, no. Because I won't want nobody to do that to me.
Right.
I'm a very harsh critic. I ain't gonna say use the word harsh because I'm not like that. But you're not gonna tell me the way something is supposed to be when I know that it's made wrong. But you know what
Right.
I mean? But
Right.
I when I go out, I mainly don't, to be honest, I'm not a sweets person the way I used to be because I used to eat sweets like all the time. So when I know something is made wrong, I really don't say much. I don't say much.
You gotta send that back. Oh, you gotta send it back when it ain't right. You be like, hey, that ain't hey.
I mean, since I guess it's different when you have a business because it's
Right, I
like
know.
you know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, I just, you know what I mean?
Right. I'm just talking. I'm just talking. But yeah, I definitely understand. So pretty much like you being a
Like
business.
I have a business, I can't be leaving bad reviews on
Right.
other.
No, I definitely understand that. Just having empathy for the next business. Cause
Yeah,
hey,
empathy.
sometimes things happen. Like trust me, you go places and you get sometimes the chef may have just had a bad day and they just
Yeah,
forgot to put
that's
a
what.
little,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They forgot to put a little more salt, a little more pepper in that dish and it
yeah,
came out. It
yeah.
was a little off. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna send that back. I mean, I ain't gonna write no Google review, but I am gonna send it
yeah,
back to the kitchen so
yeah.
y'all can try to get it right
Yeah.
for me though.
Like if I didn't have a business, I would, but now that I gotta put myself in their shoes now.
Right. No doubt. Hey,
I don't even so empathy. That's the word, empathy.
yes, ma'am, no doubt. We all human. Like things happen sometimes. Just gotta give people grace. So now I definitely understand where you're coming from in
Yeah.
terms of not being a harsh critic. So let's transition right on into the next portion. Whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like yourself, I like to cover three things: the aha moment, action, and audacity. Take us back to the aha moment when you first had the idea to take your love for cooking and turn it into a business.
Ooh, that's a story too. Um, I'm gonna when I was, I think I was like 7. And I was 7 and I remember having this vision or dream, whatever you want to call it. And I remember dreaming about having a business. Like I remember the how it looked and everything, but since I was so young, I really didn't grasp onto it. Um, and then when I got like, I think I was 13, that's when I, started to really come into what my passion was. And whew, my aha moment was I was in living in Hawaii and I had another dream. And I think I was like 25 at the time. And I was already making cinnamon rolls for neighbors. And I remember having a dream about like I was doing different flavors, but in the dream I was doing cupcakes. I was doing different flavors of cupcakes. And I woke up my husband out of his sleep. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like coming up with all these different names of, cupcakes, Snickers, and this was like, oh, I think this was before, you know, those kind of flavors were started to really pop, become like really popular.
Mhm.
And but since I was, pregnant, I was like, and I sort of just let it sort of go. I didn't write it down because, I guess procrastination. And since it was so late, I was like, I remember. But I awoke that night and I remember having a dream that I would be doing exactly what I'm doing now. And it then, click. That dream did not click until I started actually doing different flavors of cinnamon rolls. And that was in, I think, I know it was in 2020. I can't even remember the month because COVID, and I was just trying to make money during the time. I can't even remember the month I started. But
Okay.
I was in the kitchen and I was just, fulfilling all these orders, sweating. And it was almost like deja vu. And I just paused and I was like, I remember, you know what I mean, having this epiphany that I would be doing exactly what I'm doing now. And I just started praying and, thanking God because COVID really made it hard for me. Because I had to depend on my neighbors and stuff like. So it almost like God was just showing me, I don't know, my path. He showed me some of my struggles, but then he also showed me, okay, this is what you're going to have to do to get through those struggles.
Okay, great story. And I appreciate you breaking down the aha moment in detail. And from the time you had your aha moment, it sounds like it didn't take you a long time to take action towards coming up with a name and actually getting started. It sounds like you were already doing business when you had your
It
aha
it
moment.
didn't. Yeah, it just started to click because
Hmm.
I knew I had to do something.
Hmm.
And it just started to all align of what God had showed me, even when I was 7 into 13 and the passion and you know what I mean, up until now, it just felt like, okay, I know I'm on the right path because this is what God had already showed me before I even got started doing this.
Right. And I got to commend you for even going back to your 7-year-old self and being willing to fulfill that dream. Because when we kids, we have so many great ideas and we have so many great things stored in our imagination. And unfortunately, adults, not knowing any better, they tear those dreams down like our elders when we coming up. They want to live in reality way too much. And I commend you for sticking to that because at 7 years old, who knows? I wanted to be an astronaut, maybe or something. I don't know, but it's just
Yeah.
funny how we. It's funny how no, I'm kidding. I never wanted to be an astronaut. Except, but no, but basically, it's just great that you were able to tap back into that 7-year-old dream and you were able to realize it and bring it full circle to fruition.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So that last portion, audacity, in between the aha moment and actually taking action on an idea, I believe the bridge that connects the two things is audacity. It takes audacity to not only come up with an idea, but to put it out to the world to be criticized and praised. Who or what gave you that courage, that audacity to actually put it out there to the world?
The the audacity. Oh
Yes.
Lord. Um, oh, you know what? Well, I mean, since COVID had hit and everything, and that was like a real struggle for me, being that, okay, looking at my 3 kids, I got fired, and then the stuff I had to go through on my job, you know what I mean? Working in restaurants aren't easy. And so I was like, you know what? I remember, I'm not sure if I'm answering this right, but I'm just gonna keep going. I remember God's promise and what He has already showed me. I wasn't, God gave me this talent for a reason. I've been through a lot. Now I'm hit with COVID. I can't put my business out there like I want to because now we have like, okay, you got to be in the house at a certain time, yada yada yada, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna figure out how to do it, and I'm gonna make it work, no matter who is telling me no, don't do it, or what's going on. I still managed to go ahead and do it because at the same time, I really didn't have a choice. And
Mhm.
I really have to give praise to my neighbor, because I mean she passed away due to COVID, but during the time, I do feel like she really was heaven sent because I could be like stressing out. Okay, I need this for my business, yada, yada, yada. She would always call me or text or anything. And it would always be like right on time. Like I could be stressing out like really bad. And that's why I feel like she's heaven saying she's always giving, motivation to me. Because I really don't feel like if it wasn't for her, I probably would have quit by now if it wasn't for her. But yeah.
Okay. No, you answered
I'll
the
stop right
question.
there.
No, you answered the question in its entirety, and I appreciate that. And rest in peace to your neighbor. And I'm like you said, she was heaven sent. She was She was in your corner. She provided that encouragement, that inspiration. And sometimes it's all we need, just an encouraging word from somebody. And especially in your situation, you were talking about we was in COVID 2020. It was it was a very stressful time for us all. Like either we were quarantined, we were losing jobs and things of that nature. So even in the
Yeah.
midst of that, your back being up against the wall, that's what gave you the audacity. Because like you said, you didn't have a choice. You had those kids, you had the family unit that you had to take care of and had to be there for. So, and sometimes God puts us in those situations to bring out that greatness because sometimes we're
Yeah.
way too comfortable where we are. And
Yeah. That's
and
what I feel it was.
yes, ma'am. And hats off to that company who fired you because they really propelled you to. I mean, seriously, like you got to thank them in hindsight. Of course,
Yeah.
in the moment, it's never fun when you getting terminated. Trust me, I've been there, done that. I've been terminated. It was years ago, but it happens for a reason. And when you look back on it, you be like, I'm glad it happened because that situation, that company was. You know what? I won't point the fingers at the company. Maybe I was the toxic one. Maybe they needed to relieve themselves of me. But I appreciate that company for letting me go. And I know in
Yeah.
hindsight, you probably feel the same way because it all worked out for you.
Yeah, it did. It did. I mean, I still go back there to, since they're chefs and
Hmm.
everything. I still ask for advice, but that's another story.
Okay,
But
nah,
yeah,
no
I still
worries.
go back there.
No worries. Nah, that's great. That's a great story. Appreciate you
Yeah.
breaking that down. So let's talk about the catering portion of your business. Take us back to that first catering event you got booked for. What was the experience like?
Okay. Um, okay. Well, since my restaurant jobs have always been in banquet catering. And I loved all my jobs, even though, restaurants are crazy. But that's why I decided to really, okay, pastry vault. Okay, I love baking. But my first love is actually cooking. Like I could throw down. But I was like, well, let me just throw in catering since that's my first love, cooking. And
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Since I have that experience, let me do the pastry vault and catering. And my first, I can't even call it catering, but I have because I didn't set it up or anything. I just baked and they just picked it up and set it up themselves. But I've only done baked for like four weddings. Four weddings. And that was for just no, three weddings and I believe a graduation tea party. And the tea party was for like a cinnamon roll cake with the cinnamon roll cupcakes, and the weddings were for like cheesecakes, numerous amount of different flavors of cheesecakes and stuff. But I've never really, you know what I mean, did the full blown catering just yet. Even though I know how, I haven't really received that offer to do yet.
Oh, being hired to do a wedding, that's a big deal. Whether you want to, you can blow over there if you want to. I'm not gonna let you get away with that. That's a big deal. Like to deliver for a
Yeah,
wedding, that's a big deal. Take us back to that first
yeah.
experience when you did that wedding. What was the reception like? No pun intended.
What was the experience?
Oh no, I was saying what was the reception of the cinnamon rolls, and I said no pun intended. You know, wedding reception.
Um, Mainly I just all I did was like bake for it. Like
Okay,
I didn't take it to them. They just came to pick it up. And that was it. They started up. Um,
okay.
that was it. I'm sorry, but that was it.
No, no worries. No, I'm saying so. So, what was the feedback? Was it? Did you get
The
good feedback?
feedback was great.
Okay,
I'm still waiting on pictures actually,
okay.
from the setup, but she honestly, one of them just picked up a cheesecake yesterday, and I was like, when am I going to see pictures? And I'm still waiting on her to send me some pictures of that setup so I can post. Because I've done a lot, but
Hmm.
I have not seen a set like I've gotten great reviews from it, but I'm like, okay, send me some pictures
Right. Nah,
of them.
definitely. Okay. Nah, that's great. So you got the weddings and graduation under your belt. That's good stuff. Just keep going. You'll definitely start booking those
Yeah.
corporate gigs in due time for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So as you've done great things with the pastry vault and catering. I know great things are coming down the pipeline, which leads to my next portion. vision. What are your short-term and long-term goals for the business?
Ooh, short-term goal. I'm gonna bring up, I think I already brought it up though, churros. That's a real biggie, the churros. Offering, I just have to balance life out to be able to offer more. That's a term goal of mine. And to really hop on these churros because the way I'm envisioning it, it's gonna be popping. It's gonna pop. But yeah, just offer more and just since I'm still in learning mode, I guess, just get this situated because there's so much still going on. Like I have to get this situated and balanced out before I can even move forward with the long-term goals. But balancing out what I need to balance out, offering those churros. The way I'm envisioning it. But long-term goals, I really want to go on when I get this situated. I really want to do like a national food tour. Like whenever I get a food truck or whatever, I would like to go on a national pastry and food tour, just all around the USA, just during different stops, offering my goodies, my cinnamon rolls, different types of pastries and whatever, and really become a national, known name, national known name. That's the long-term goal. And to also be, how Cinnabon is, they're out there in malls and
Mhm.
airports. That's what I want to do. I want to be inside every mall and every airport.
Okay. Hey,
And the Alabama, that's I
though.
won't give us too much.
Yes, ma'am.
But yeah,
Not no doubt.
I'm gonna be at the Alabama National Fair because they don't have cinnamon rolls.
Hey,
That's the goal of mine to be inside the National Fair and offer cinnamon rolls.
and those are some great goals, and I have no doubt you'll make them all come to fruition.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am. So as we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask $1 million question. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness of Montgomery, whether you were born here or lived here for a significant period of your life. You being a hometown hero, what makes you the most proud to be from the Gump?
What makes me most proud?
Yes.
Um, I never thought about it. To be honest, I'm gonna put this. I mean, I'd rather be from the South. I'm a Southern girl. My dad is from the South.
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm
No worries.
proud. I love the South. I'm glad I'm from the South. My mom, my dad is from the South. There's no better place to be. Um,
Hey,
but
that's
anyway, let me think of something. I'm sorry. I
oh
never
no,
thought
no,
about that.
no worries, no worries. I tell you what, let me ask the question a different way. So, what do you appreciate the most about the city of Montgomery?
To be honest, I love the way, I'm gonna be honest.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, like when I left, I was happy to leave because I've never really been outside of Montgomery, besides, the country, Greenville, LaPine, Alabama. But being, visiting, living in other states and then moving back, seeing the developments that are going on, even though I live, we're in Pike Road, but it's still Montgomery. But the developments that are going on, especially downtown, the growth that's really making me more proud of being from Montgomery because it's growing. I see it's growing, it's getting better.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
it can
ma'am.
be better, but
Yeah.
we're growing. We're growing, and that's what makes me proud of being from Montgomery and the South, Southern girl. But yeah, that's what makes me proud.
Yes, ma'am. Without question, Montgomery definitely on the rise, growing. Like we got a lot of great things in the works. We got a lot of great black-owned businesses in the area, like yours and
Mhm.
many others. And I love to see it because if I'm pretty sure you know the history of the city as well as I do, and several others. Like Montgomery ain't always been there. It's the home of the
Yeah.
civil rights for a reason. Like things used to be real interesting around these parts back in the day, but we've come a long way, and quite frankly, it's our job to carry that torch that our ancestors, that they
Yeah.
started it. They went through all that stuff that they went through for us to flourish. So we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, ma'am. So before we get out of here, how can the people connect with you? What are your social media handles?
Well, I'm on Facebook, of course, the Pastry Vault and Catering, as well as Instagram, same name. Um, I'm also on TikTok and Twitter, the Pastry Vault and Catering, same name. And you can also call me at 205-538-3137, and my email, the Pastry Vault and Catering at yahoo.com. Those are the ways you can contact me. Call me or DM me.
Yes, ma'am. And of course, I'll put all of the information in the description of the episode. Hey, Ariana, thanks again for the conversation. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumtown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Go on. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.